Good morning, everybody. Everybody wake up to the beeps this morning? Construction beeps. The good news is they'll be stopping soon. So be patient. We got a good program this morning, and we got the sample boards are back, just for your information if you want to go take another look at them, for the remodeling of the old tavern, new gastro. So if you want to go up and check it, the tabletop sample should be on its way, so that'll be here too for your viewing pleasure. And with that, we'll get started with our program.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right, first up, we have Betsy, and she's going to give us an update on a commitment she made a month or so ago. So, Betsy.
Good morning. So I just wanted to update everybody that it's finally here. I did get Shred It to come out and bring us some bins, so we are going to start the Shred event. It will start today. I've got the bins. They came in, I think, on Friday. So they will be in the South Grand Lobby as well as the North Grand Lobby. So they're big, secure, kind of like those trash bins that you haul out at the end of your driveway. So if you guys have any kind of materials, you can drop in notebooks, there could be paper clips, staples, none of that matters. It just cannot be like a 3-ring binder. So if you have anything, we'll probably do it for about a month. Once the bins get full, I do have extra ones, so don't be afraid to bring your Shred It and we'll get rid of it.
Where are the bins going to be?
The South Grand Lobby and the North, or in the lobbies. In North and South, yes.
And good morning, everyone. This being Easter week, marketing decided we'd like to have a little fun. So we are going to, some point very soon, hide 4 golden eggs. 2 are going to be in North, 2 are going to be in South. These will be in public areas. They won't be on floors because the people on that floor have an added advantage, obviously. So these will be in the common areas, and Hannah is going to be hiding these. She would not tell me where because she says I can't keep a secret, so she wouldn't tell me. But inside, in case you're sneaky and you have a golden egg like this in your home, these have a note inside. So if you bring us a golden egg from home without a note, that doesn't qualify. But so when you find the golden egg, if you can come over to the marketing center or call us and tell us that you have it, then we'll get connected with you for your prize. We have 4 eggs, 4 prizes, and so we'll have a little fun here at Easter week. Thank you all for playing. Happy Easter.
So every year we do egg extravaganza, and what the kids find in the golden eggs is a $2 bill. Perry tells me he's been more generous, so it might be worth your while to try to find that. Let me position this. This is too loud. Can you still hear me now? Yeah. Perfect. All right. So you may be tired of this. This is the 4th presentation that we provide. No, I've got to turn this down.
I'm going to turn this one off.
Okay. You think that's it? Hello, hello? Okay. You may be tired of hearing about resident satisfaction, but this is our 4th meeting on this, but we wanted to come back and close the loop. And so, yeah, the volume's just too high. This is number 2. And I can't talk softer. I'm not very good at that. Number 2. There we go. Perfect. How's that? All right. So here is first slide, please. So resident satisfaction recap, because you may or may not recall that this survey was actually scheduled for August, but we were right in the midst of a COVID outbreak, and so it got postponed to September. And we had 335 surveys that were completed for a 75% response rate. So we were very satisfied with how many residents chose to participate. And then we had an overall satisfaction score, and that score was 72. And so it was in keeping with where we had been in prior years. We always want to do better, but we were satisfied for where we were the first time. You may also recall that this was the first time to use this particular survey. In the past, we had used the Holleran survey, and then we used the big national survey that had the benchmarking based upon a net approval score. And so this was an LCS survey. It was administered by Adaptive Insights. So it was a new survey for us, and this became the first benchmark. Next slide. So here were the objectives of the survey. We wanted to not only get an overall satisfaction score, that was 72%, but we also wanted the specific elements of service. And so unlike previous surveys where there may have been a summary question, our past surveys have been 20 to 24 questions, and there may have been one question, how'd dining do, how's housekeeping working for you? This was pretty exhaustive. There were 99 questions, and there were 4 or 5 questions for each of the operational areas. So it provided us with a great deal of information to go back and work with. The whole purpose, when you think about why we do these surveys, it allows us to direct our resources, both material, time, and personnel. It allows us to focus on the key issues that drive resident satisfaction. And so we got an awful lot of data from the survey. What was there? There's one more. I'm sorry, go back one more. So the one other thing that I wanted to mention is this survey did something a little different than what we've seen in the past surveys. This did not have a net score, but what it did do is distinguish between 2 things. There were things that were that could be satisfying or unsatisfying to you, and then there also were what were called drivers. And drivers were given a higher score because those are the issues, the key issues that belong to residents that are more important than some of the other issues. And so when you're asking 99 questions, not every question can be a driver. And so if you ask, are the green beans served mushy or overcooked? We're going to get a lot of opinion about that, but green beans don't tend to be a driver. If you ask, is the hot food served hot and the cold food served cold, that tends to be more of a driver. And so you'll remember in one of the presentations we had a quadrant up there, and we had broken things into where they fell in terms of being a driver or just being an annoyance. And so that's one of the key methodology changes in this particular survey. Next slide. So here's what we've shared with you so far. Back on November 23rd, we had gotten the results, and we shared those results at a Tuesday talk. The next week on November 30th, we talked about the priority improvement chart, and that's where we had laid out what were the low scores, what were the high scores, and what were the drivers, and that allowed us to identify what we were going to prioritize when we developed a plan of correction that we would then come back and share with the residents. There were 2 particular areas that we talked about on December 7th, and that was engagement and communication. Those were the 2 areas that were lower than anticipated, at least from our perspective. And engagement is residents. It's defined in this survey as residents feel they have a role in the community, and that's a broad interpretation. So we've focused a lot of energy on engagement, and then of course communication. It is not surprising to see communication up there. We see communication up there every single year. It continues to be one of the big challenges at Regency Oaks year over year, and we've got some ideas on what we're going to focus on this year, and we'll share more in just a second on that. And so today, what we're going to do is share with you the action plans that we have developed to try to address some of the drivers and some of the lower satisfaction scores. And so we'll jump into that. So one of the questions on the survey was the executive director response to my questions and concerns, and that score was 74%. And so one of the things that I'm going to do to try to improve in that area is make sure that I'm actively listening to concerns and seeking to resolve or advocate for residents. And so Tuesday Talk and Forum are a great way to have a dialogue at Regency Oaks and to have that directly with me. We always have a question and answer period after Tuesday Talk, and that's a really valuable time for me because it allows me to hear directly from the residents what are the concerns that week, and then I try to always follow up with either getting that action corrected or reporting back to you on the following Tuesday if I wasn't able to get it corrected. So Tuesday Talk is going to continue to be a great way for us to be more accountable and make sure that we are following through on your questions and concerns. Number one is ensure when able to add the Q&A from Tuesday Talk to the video for channel 732. And so we've made that commitment to try to do that. There were a lot of people who had said, well, they don't want the questions and answers shared because that's where all the dialogue occurs. That's not accurate. We do have a limitation of 1 hour. It's very difficult because of the way we have to do this, where we upload it onto YouTube and then download it into the software. Anything over an hour becomes very difficult to do. So we've been really working hard to keep these at an hour or under so that we can include the Q&A because that dialogue is actually where all the good stuff is because we want to broadcast your questions and my responses. Because if you're thinking it, if that's your question, I can guarantee there are other residents who have the exact same question. So it's really an important part of our communication piece. Our second one is to ensure that Touchtown works as designed or replaced. So Touchtown, as all of you know, has an issue with their DVD player. It has not worked for over a year. It is not here at Regency Oaks. It is countrywide. There's not a Touchtown device in America that is working, and they have absolutely been unable to resolve this. And so our commitment back to you is we are either going to have them resolve this or we're going to get rid of Touchtown and go with the company that will be able to provide that solution. Because it has been going on for over a year. And third is to advocate for resident projects and specifically memory care in AL capacity for one-bedroom apartments. And so I know that this is a big issue with all residents. It was the number one comment that we received back on the comment cards. We had about 70 pages of direct comments from our residents, and the vast majority of them related to either memory care or AL. And I want you to know that every year I'm out there advocating to try to get this done, trying to make it happen, and it's the environment for construction is tough right now. I think you probably realize that. There's not a lot of appetite to go out and build licensed beds anywhere in the country. And the reason for that is so many of the assisted living and skilled nursing, not only in LCS or the Peak portfolio, but in the state of Florida and across the country, they're all sitting at 50 to 60% occupancy. Today, our skilled nursing center is sitting at 48 on a capacity of 60. And to just be honest with you, as long as we cannot fill the beds we have, there's not going to be much appetite to do new construction. That's the honest answer. But here's what I want you to know, is I am always advocating to do this and to address these two issues specifically, because these are the two issues that residents tell me they are most concerned about in terms of having a continuum of care. We do not have a secure memory care on campus, even though our assisted living has every one of the residents in assisted living has as a primary or secondary diagnosis dementia. We do not have a secure locked unit. And then the other thing that I hear all the time is we don't have an assisted living solution for couples who are looking for a one-bedroom. People who have been married for 60 years and that one of the spouse has to go into assisted living. The other spouse, they don't want to stay in IO. They want to go with their spouse and be able to stay with them for the duration in assisted living. So I understand what the concerns are. I want you to know that I'm always advocating for it, and I'm not going to give up trying to push Pete and LCS to get this project underway. Next slide. So communications, I am satisfied with the general resident meeting, and this specifically is referring to the forum meeting. We hope that's what you were referring to. Overall, I'm satisfied with communications 70%. So we took those two and sort of combined it into one area. Our plan of correction, the executive director, and the department heads will use new technologies to enhance communication and reach new residents. This is why we included in the goals and objectives that the residents and the management team put together, the 5 objectives that we're working on for 2022. It's why we included new technologies as goal number 5. We believe that the environment is changing. All you have to do is look around. The world that we grew up in is changing. There are new ways of reaching people and thinking about work and how people interact with one another, and the same is true for our residents. And so we want to make sure that we're keeping up with that technology, because we think in that new technology we will find answers on how to better communicate. So the first thing we've committed to do is to update our phone system. Our in-house phone system has been in place for 32 years. It was probably 20 years old when we got it. It's an old Toshiba system, and the first thing that it will be able to do when we replace it is provide for direct communication. You cannot call me directly. If you have a spouse over at the skilled nursing center, you can't call them directly. It has to go through a switchboard. And so there's just so much more that we can do in terms of more efficient communication with smartphones that you can get now as part of that replacement. We have contracted with a corporation called Telcom. They are going to work as a consultant in helping us make the right decision in terms of who to go with for replacing this phone. AppyPie, number 2, AppyPie is going to allow for direct one-on-one communication. So next Tuesday, we're going to be rolling out the AppyPie app. And it's been beta tested by the department heads. We've had residents beta testing it for us for the last 30 days, and we're comfortable that we're ready to roll it out. We're going to roll it out in 2 different phases. And the first phase is more informational. If there's something you want to know, you'll be able to go in, you'll be able to look at a menu, you'll be able to look at the activities, and so there'll be information that is shared. The second thing that is going to be turned on initially is the ability for you to make, through your phone, a reservation in transportation. You'll be able to put in a work order using your mobile phone. And then the last piece, and we're not going to turn this on until we've mastered the first piece. We want to roll it out slowly, but sometime in July, we will introduce the second piece of AppyPie, and that's allowing for direct communication with the department managers. And so if you want to text a department manager, it's going to go directly to the phone they carry. And so we're excited about the opportunities that AppyPie is going to introduce. And then the third is we have budgeted in our capital budget for this year funds to start an in-house TV station. And so we're committed to doing that One of the things that we have to do in order to accomplish that is figure out what we're doing with our in-house TV system. And the progress on that has been very, very slow, but we are making progress. Right now, if I were a betting man, I would say that we're probably going to stay with Spectrum. And we have always sort of said that whether you're using any one of the big houses, whether it's Charter or Frontier or Spectrum, the bulk service that they provide and offer, that's top notch. That's never been the problem. With Spectrum, we've always had problems with their service technicians and being able to come out and service the account. And so we're looking for a solution where Spectrum might provide the bulk service, and then we'd have an internal solution on having to provide the service. So if you had a tech issue related to your reception, you were getting pixelation, you wouldn't call Spectrum, you would call an in-house person here at Regency Oaks who would respond more timely. So that's sort of an update on Spectrum. Next slide. Computer service, and so the question was, I'm satisfied with computer technology services, about 49%. That was lower than we had anticipated. Computer services are an interesting dynamic. You know, we had a computer lab, and we had a whole bunch of resident volunteers who would teach you how to use your iPad or show you how to, get onto a toolbar, and they would help you with the setups, and it just really never got utilized. And we eventually disbanded the computer room and put the equipment throughout the community because there just wasn't much support for that. And so part of what we walked away from there is that, residents who get a new computer or residents who get a new iPad or have a problem, they don't want to come and have us fix the problem on our computers. They want us to come and fix the problems on your computer. And that makes sense. And so one of the things that the committee is looking at, this is Objective 5, New Technology Committee, one of the things that we're looking at is looking for a possible rollout this quarter of having an in-house IT concierge who would be available to residents on a fee-for-service basis. And so that's something that we're going to try to address this quarter and start to provide you with better options for IT support in your apartment. All right, who's up next? Jesse is not here. I can do Jesse. Oh, my pencil, I wondered where that went. Yeah, thank you. All right, Jesse is not here, so I will go ahead and do Jesse. Housekeeping is in my home is performed to my satisfaction, 62%. It was on some of these service components, it's really hard to evaluate where we were because if you go back and think about September of last year, that's when we did this survey, our housekeeping services were completely shut down. Our maintenance services were completely shut down. Our dining services, in September of last year, we were delivering all your meals to you, and our dining rooms, all venues across campus were shut down. And so it's really difficult to try to get a clear, 100% precise picture of what you were thinking because our services were shut down. And so I just throw that caveat out with it's as part of our action planning, we had to account for that, and we hope that in our action planning, we got to the heart of what you were saying. And so the plan of correction is the executive director and department heads will use new technologies to enhance communication and reach new residents. And so he's going to review the cleaning expectations with housekeeping and residents. One of the things that Jesse was trying to do is establish some consistency in the delivery of services so that every resident received the exact same service. so that we would have something to compare against. That has not always been the case at Regency, and many residents have received a different service profile, and so we're trying to bring some consistency and fairness to that equation. And then the second thing is to create an inspection program to follow up with housekeepers and make sure that the quality of the service is what you would expect. And you know, there's nothing like that immediate feedback, someone knocking on your door that day and say, hey, Martha was here today, how'd she do? Are you satisfied with your service? Is there anything else that we could have done better? Is there anything else we can do for you? And so checking that box and going back and getting confirmation on the service, that's an important part of driving satisfaction. All right, maybe someone else is up.
Hi, good morning. Ginger from Activities. I'm here to discuss some of our 2022 goals regarding your survey you took. So the first one, I am offered activities that meet my interests. Well, just last week, we started a new program, the Night Owls. We had 20 residents show up for that. I'm so excited. I didn't realize we had so many night owls here, but we do. So the next meeting is going to be May 19th, 9 p.m. in Sports Lounge. So I want all the night owls to go. It's too early. So come and make that suggestion. And we resumed our car detailing, which started today. We had 5 cars and they're doing them from 9 to 12 today. So that's also going to be a monthly activity. So activities are scheduled at times that work for me. Well, just last week I purchased a suggestion box and put it on each trip table. So I want everyone's suggestions about programs, trips, activities, put the times that will be convenient for you, and we're going to make this work. Okay? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. Ricky Rocco, Food and Beverage Director. Well, it depends what time you've been up since. We have a couple here. The meals are served at the appropriate temperature. We got 65%. The plan of correction is to serve hot food hot and cold food cold. Opening the dining room to eliminate the buffet service. Thank God we got rid of that. Fewer takeouts so that our residents are not eating from takeout containers. For those of you residents that do get takeouts, come down and see us in the dining room, please. With multiple venues open, service speed and efficiency is improved. Menu has a variety of selections, 61%. Plan of correction, opening of the venues will give residents more choices and more dining options, with the tavern being open now, having Bella Row and the Breezeway returning. Return the left side of the menu creates additional options. Catering, specialty dining options are now available and can be booked for even more selections. Thank you.
All right, so I am tasked with the extraordinary impressions for this year. I think with COVID, we got a little sidetracked from it, in the last year. So when it came on, I definitely saw there was a little bit of opportunity for improvement. And so now going forward, that's everybody ranked the overall satisfaction at 69%. They also said team members responding enthusiastically to my request was 67%. And team members pay close attention to details, 59%. They anticipate my needs, 52%. So what is happening now is every time that we do new hire orientation, we host orientation every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for every new employee. So I am in the training room Wednesday morning reviewing those 10 hospitality promises with the new hires. And then what I've been doing too is every month when we do have our all-staff training, I choose a hospitality promise to focus on and talk about that. with all of the current staff members and try to do an activity to gain, their interest and buy-in. So I think the more we talk about it, the more we talk about the comment cards, when you guys give your feedback with the, the cards that are around the community, we review those at our monthly committee meeting, and then we roll that out to the team. So the more cards we get, the more we can talk about it, the more we can put it kind of in the forefront of everybody's mind. So please help continue to talk about, the successes of the program. When you see an employee doing a great thing, fill out the card, and then, help us move forward with extraordinary impressions.
Who's next?
All right, good morning, everyone. The Health Center team provides quality nursing care. So as you know, I know Brant's mentioned it, Betsy's mentioned it, COVID-19 has really had an impact in the healthcare operations field. The healthcare center was shut down for about 18 months overall, which hindered visitation, visits, coming in to see your loved one. Visits were done through a window or a visitation center, they were scheduled. And so access to management in the nursing center was very challenged for 18 months. And so obviously that with our reopening and our goal is to be more visible and more present with our visitors and our families to making sure we're addressing any issues in a timely manner. And so one of the other things that happened at the healthcare center was with COVID-19 is we went through a lot of surveys and inspections. And so one thing that was always mentioned during our survey process was we are the golden standard. And they would use us as a reference when they went to visit other healthcare centers. So we understand that we are always trying to put our best foot forward, and so being more visible and more engaged with our residents and families is our top priority. We're also going to start attending In the Know with RO to be present and address questions and concerns as they come up, whether you're looking to transition to the healthcare center, have a question about your healthcare insurance, what's provided at the healthcare center. We want to be visible and present to you guys. We also implemented, which is a QI rounds, which is also known as Guardian Angel rounds. And that's to be present with our visitors and our residents every morning, so management is able to assist, address any concerns or questions that might have happened overnight, and help relieve our frontline staff as well, so we can address them timely and quickly, so we're also being present. So those are those are very important for us, and we're already working on those processes for you guys to making sure that we provide good quality care and good quality outcomes with maintaining our CMS 5-star rating and quality, so that's important.
Morning. My name is Darwin Perez with Plan Operations. Maintenance and repairs, our performance to the resident satisfaction, 51%. Maintenance team is responsive to the requests for service, 44%. Here's our plan of correction. We had a big turnaround on employees last year, the beginning of this year, so we're going to be working on training how to respond quicker and how to be more effective on our work orders. Our second one is following to complete work orders. Note, a lot of times they come to the apartment and the residents are not there. They get the work completed and the residents don't even find out they were there. So we try to work to leave notes to notify the resident we got the work completed. And the last one is making sure, do we have all the tools and materials to get all the jobs completed? Thank you.
Morning, I'm Leslie, Resident Services Director, and we will be discussing resident engagement. First, I feel like I have a voice in my community, because 49%. My community helps me to live my life with my purpose, 63%. My community helps me maintain all aspects of well-being, 66%. The plan of correction is to increasing communication, helping residents to partner with departments and committees, adding more well-being to the activities calendar. One, we're working on weekly meetings with rotating department heads and their rural board members, hosting committee meetings and questions and answers in the Oaks. 2, assess and identify events calendars to ensure activities of well-being are included, adjust events to capture all the well-being topics. And 3, provide residents with the opportunity to partner with departments and recognize the residents who have their time and purpose shown at Regency Oaks. Thank you.
And last but not least, I hope. Overall, I'm satisfied with the board of directors, 69%. As Brent pointed out, we received the results of that back in November, and we first got our input in December. So the new board was starting on this in January. We went right after it because we knew that was not a good response. And obviously better communication, there's that magic word again, with residents encouraging the board of director members to seek input from the community. And providing updates in the Oaks. If you don't receive the Oaks, make sure you get Johanna or somebody, Mary Ellen, to give them your email address. Check your spam folder too. There might be anything up there if you're not getting. And there's always printed copies at the front desk. Please read them and leave them there.
And the library.
And in the library, thank you. And our quarterly meetings. We have quarterly resident meetings. We got one coming up on April 20th. Please be there, 10 a.m. in the town hall. That way there's two-way communication. You talk to us, we can talk to you. Number 2, Q&A, column, question and answer column added to the Oaks newsletter.
It's under the guise of wise guys.
Yes, I know. Wise guys. There's a little piece in there where you get a question and we hopefully can answer it. And sometimes we'll say, yeah, we have to work on it. But there's an email address and you can submit your question via email. Number 3, technology and communications committee working on better ways to communicate. And Tony Quattromoni and his committee are working very hard on getting out the who, what, why, and where information so that it's clear, concise, and informative. And they hope to have that done by the third quarter. And with that, I think we're concluded. Is there anything else, Brad?
I think that's it. That's next. All right. We've got a couple of mics here that we're gonna get floating.
I have a question.
Who has the second one?
Who is now or not?
You're on.
Okay, I have a question of who is responsible for keeping the front porch of the south building clean? Is it housekeeping or is it maintenance?
Judy, I have no idea where you are. There you are, okay. The board,
The front porch of the south building is filthy, and but it hasn't been power washed in months or even a year. And it looks terrible for us and for prospects. Who is responsible, housekeeping or maintenance? That needs to be made clear to them because housekeeping says it isn't them and maintenance just shrugs.
so maintenance is responsible for power washing, housekeeping is responsible for daily maintenance. And so we'll get it power washed and taken care of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How frequently will it be done?
As needed.
Thank you.
Will you consider partnering with the new memory care?
Mitch, where are you? Okay.
Will you consider partnering with the memory care unit down the street down on the double? Would you partner, make a working relationship with them?
Yeah, and so the question is, would we consider partnering with, I think it's Avella? Yeah, Arabella. It's the new memory care assisted living down the street. And that is something that we are exploring. We've reached out and we're looking to see if we can't figure out a way to work with them. Good. That would make a lot of sense.
I wonder, has there been any consideration, I understand in terms of increasing the number of beds for assisted living and skilled nursing facilities may be an issue, but in another venue that I worked in, it was also a CCRC, and what they did is converted floors that normally had been used for independent living, which would seem to me to be a reasonably easy thing to do, not super easy, but it would be certainly easier than trying to build a new one. I don't know what the occupancy or any of those kinds of issues, but it would answer the issue of bedroom sizes and whatever. And I think that having it actually on site would be important to many people here to not lose their contact with relationships that they've developed.
So, great question. The question is, have we looked at, for addressing assisted living and memory care, have we looked at IL capacity to try to address that, where we take a wing of our independent living and convert it to a licensed beds? And that is something that we had explored 7 or 8 years ago. Our occupancy back then was 313. Our occupancy today is about 350. So we're much higher. So if we're 350 today, that means we have 35 vacant apartments. However, there are probably 10 of them that are in the process of moving out or moving in. And then there are another 11 that are being used for different purposes. And so our total available capacity to rent is about 14 apartments. And so that's why that has not been a viable option for us, is they're not enough and they're not congregated in one area. And so it would require that we go in and relocate residents in whatever wing we were to select, and that's always a very difficult thing to do. You've had your home for years and years, and we come in and take it through eminent domain. That's not pleasant.
Before we all go into shock later this year, today's CPI was 8.5%. Does that mean we're going to get a 10.5% increase next year? Many of us couldn't even afford last year's increase.
So, let's talk about that. Everyone, if you're in this room, you're following the economy, and we're in a massive meltdown. My opinion is a recession is looming and inflation is out of control, and we're going to see some very difficult times. Now, what we did last year is we maximized the increase that we were able to give residents, and we went to the full contractual rate. We did that for a express purpose, and it was one reason only. We wanted to have the cash to be able to turn around and invest in our employees. And so in January, we took $550,000 of your hard-earned money and gave it back to our employees. And it has stabilized the staff. We are now at the point where we're able to reopen venues. We're completely reopened as a campus again because our staffing is back to pre-pandemic levels. That would not have happened without that investment in wages for our associates. This is a tough labor market to compete in, and we needed that additional revenue in order to be successful in executing our recruitment and retention plan. It's worked. That's the good news. I am following the increase and although contractually, you're absolutely correct. If CPI is 13-14%, you add 2% to it, you could be looking at 17% increases next year based upon the contract. But understand that we're aware of that, and we are going to do everything in our power to make sure that we minimize the impact of inflation for our residents. Now, I'm not at this point able to tell you what we're looking to be able to lock those rates in at as in terms of a maximum increase, We won't even start that process until the end of June. That's our annual budgeting cycle. But here's what I do want you to know. We're aware that we know that last year was a big sacrifice for you. We're very appreciative of it. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you don't get hit with that 2 years in a row. Fair?
We were asked to fill out the extraordinary impressions, and after we do that, what's the benefit of it? What happens after that? Who benefits from it?
Dropbox, and then all of the committee reviews all your cards every month. Okay, sorry, thank you. So once you guys fill out the cards and you put them in the Dropbox, we do have a monthly committee that meets and we review all of those cards so we can get your feedback. And then we use that information to determine an employee of the month and then any coaching feedback, you know, to give to department heads about their employees. As well as it just, we hang them in the break room for all the employees to see. So I think them seeing that a resident took the time out to recognize them going above and beyond continues and motivates them to do a better job and want to continue to give that great service. Oh.
Could we be informed of who the employee of the month is?
How do we do that?
That is a great question. How did we do it in the past? I know.
We used to bring them
They
to
brought them in
forum.
here and introduced
Okay.
them.
Okay, let's work on bringing that back.
We'll get that back. That's a great idea.
That was my question too.
Okay.
Got it. All right, what else? You got a question?
The
Yes.
presentation that was made this morning about satisfaction levels in various categories, seems to be that those percentages seem to be rather low. It would seem to be anything under 80% should trigger action.
So, yeah, so you're correct. You know, these numbers are, we're pleased with their number because it's the first time out, it's a benchmark. And so we set our sights on, okay, how do we improve? Because we're not satisfied with where we have the potential to be. And so that's the whole point of developing these action plans, is we believe that this is how we will drive those numbers and see improvement in the next cycle.
When's the next trip?
Great question. The question up front is, when is the next survey? And I don't know the answer. They haven't announced that yet. I don't know if they're every other year or whether they're yearly. And we've done it both ways in the past. And if LCS has made that decision, they haven't shared it. So we'll let you know.
Brad, thank you to you and to all the employees for the wonderful job you do. Regency Oaks is a great place to live, but we could all improve, and Regency Oaks or any place else.
Sure.
With that said, the dining room service seems to be really slow. Is there any way we could be in the dining room maybe an hour, hour and a half instead of 2 or 3?
So I'll let Ricky or Phil come up and address this, but I'll just add my 2 cents because this has always been a problem here at Regency Oaks. If the dining room opens at 5, 80% of the people who are going to eat that night insist that they have to be there at 5. And so what that does is it backs down our service completely. Everyone would have such a better experience if we could stagger that. We're not going to run out of food. Our service hours are 5 to 6:30. If you come at 5:20, you're going to have a much better experience than if you come right at 5 o'clock. But we've not been very successful in trying to get residents to buy into that message. 80% of our residents show up right at 5 o'clock.
Right.
Hello. So, yes, you are exactly correct. Ricky, Johnny, myself, we walk the dining rooms every night that we're here. And we noticed that at 4 o'clock, there's a surge for the takeout. And then there's a little bit of a lull. And then there's another surge. and then there's another little bit of a lull, and then there's another surge. It's almost like we're playing red light, green light with the lobbies. Because I don't know if you talk to each other and say we should all go down at 5, but it really does feel like that some days. And unfortunately, if everybody shows up at 5 o'clock, it's a complete disservice to you to seat you. It's a complete disservice for you if we say, okay, everybody go into the dining room. Because then you're gonna be sitting at your table for 30 minutes without ever seeing anybody. So we do have to slow that down a little bit. We've talked about how in the tavern right now we have the reservations. And we added those reservations to make sure we didn't have those problems in the tavern when we reopened. And I'll be honest with you, regardless of the amount of people that are going down to the tavern hasn't run smoother in years. And I blame the reservations wholeheartedly because of that. So just bear with us. We have 16-year-olds right now that have never served. We lost quite a few people at the beginning of this pandemic, and most of these people that we have now, this is not only their first job, but even if you've seen them for a while, they haven't really served. They haven't really had a training. The people that are training haven't really served. And so it's really just, a growing pain for everybody in the dining program so that we can all get back to where we were. And we'll get there. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that with your help and your patience, we'll get there and we'll get you back to being in and out in a timely fashion.
Here's a visual for you that I have always found helpful. If the line, the food line, you got a couple of people on there and it's your plate is passed, it's the entrees and the two sides or whatever you've ordered, it's put out on the hotline. If we could serve a plate every minute, it would take us 7 hours to serve the residents. Think about that. And so when we get 120 people show up at 5 o'clock, yeah, it's gonna cause some back jam. So just think about that. That would really help. Everybody would have a better experience.
I would echo everything that Phil just said, and he's the new rickshaw driver with that hat. and I agree, and hats off to y'all for bringing all these people in, and they are new, and they're kids. They're kids, and they haven't served, a lot of them haven't served. So I think a little bit of patience on all part. But I would ask one favor of all the staff, the new staff, and I guess it's a generational thing with language, but I'm not married to a male. And when they're addressing the table, would they not call us guys? Seriously, if you just ask them to try to focus on, you can call me Bill or call Pam or Mr. DeMarino, Mr. DeMarino, that's perfectly fine. But I don't like to have my wife addressed as a guy. And I think if you can do that, that's one favor. But congratulations to all of you. You're doing a heck of a job.
Thanks, Bill.
I might add too that there's always lunch in the north, and which Sue and I normally do, and we don't wait that much long, and it's nice and peaceful. Maybe I'm going to shoot myself for that, but get too many.
We all know that the Oaks provides a menu for the week. There's also menus distributed along the dining rooms. It would be a lot better if residents would take the time to read the dining room schedule so they know what they want to order and not sit there for 10 minutes contemplating what they're going to have.
Well said.
Be prepared.
All right, any other questions? Right here. We're getting a mic to you. Right behind you here.
Just a question about the health center presentation. I wonder if I could hear just one more time the where it was addressed that there's a guardian angel program.
Yeah, so, here, give me 1 second, thank you. So each of our managers are assigned a certain number of rooms every day. So they can have 3 rooms and they go in and check on them on a daily basis, just touching base with their family or the resident.
Pardon me, is a manager a nurse or what?
It's one of our managers in the healthcare center. It could be a nurse, it could be myself, it could be the social worker, but someone of our interdisciplinary team is assigned rooms to go in there and check on them, ask them questions, see how their night was, how their food is, how their care is doing. So it's just a daily check-in to making sure that we're always present and involved on the floor as well. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I suggest strongly that check with the residents who are being served, because those sometimes are the most satisfied or dissatisfied. And I had a neighbor who seemed to complain to me. I'm not the one to complain to.
So just, Ms. Radin has a great reminder, and I always tell new residents in orientation, you know, it doesn't do any good to go and complain to your neighbor or your dining partner. They can't do anything to help you. Come see me, I can do something to help you. So make sure that if you have a concern, staff wants to address it. Make sure you're addressing it with staff and not with other residents. That won't give you satisfaction. Come deal with us. And we have one final question here, and then we're gonna close out so that we can meet our 1 hour mark.
I actually have 2 questions. First, to Johanna, is it possible to also put in the notes the back side of the menu? Because that's now listing the tavern menu and the breezeway nights, and that would be helpful to have too. And then in the dining room, the kiosk or whatever that,
Comment card.
not the stand where you electronically rate things, is that in effect? How is it in effect? Who's looking at it? When are they looking at it? Or are we just practicing working on it for a while first? Because if it isn't looked at daily when you're commenting daily, what good does it do to know 5 days later what day was commented upon?
Phil and I will look at it daily because it goes right to my computer, and if anyone has any issues, bless you, then we can reach out, get with the resident, find out what they didn't like or what they did like. So that's how it benefits us. And actually, it's the whole idea is to make it instantaneously, where you know the cards are in the box and so on and so forth. So.
Do you know who we are?
If you can put your name and stuff on it if you want, but you know how that goes. Some people are hesitant about putting their name on it, but you know, please do, and we'll be able to contact it.
Are you leaving the comment box to the?
It's still over there.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming out. We appreciate you being here. Have a great day.
Fill out those extraordinary impression cards.